Hey everyone, I am so excited to be here with you all this evening to discuss e-cigarette use in youth and what you can do as parents and guardians. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and hope that we have something new to teach you, as well as strategies to promote healthy behaviors in your youth. Before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jenna Hawks. I am the Health and Wellness Prevention Coordinator for Grand County, and I've lived in Moab almost my whole life. I love it here. My co-host, Jordan Oman, is also present today to make sure that the recording runs smoothly and everything is taken care of. We want everyone to know that the information given to you today is completely based off of current research. The use of e-cigarettes is considered an epidemic, and we've made sure to gather up-to-date information so that you can be as informed as possible and so we can answer any questions that you may have to the best of our abilities. We will have a questioning period at the end of the presentation, so if you have any questions, be sure to write that down. And without further ado, let's just begin. Our topic of discussion is, of course, e-cigarettes. We will be discussing some of the effects that e-cigarette use has on youth, as well as we will spend a little time discussing how vaping during our global pandemic, COVID, is especially concerning. And yes, I know you all love to continue to hear about COVID-19, so I can promise you this won't be the last time you hear about it this evening. Then we will discuss the most important reason of being here tonight, which is how you as parents or guardians can recognize signs of use, how to talk to your youth, and the importance of having house rules set. After all of that, we will give you additional resources for if you want more information about e-cigarettes. Let's begin with a short video. Let's just take a look and see if you can spot any e-cigarettes. Isn't that crazy how they're making devices look like USB drives, Sharpies, pens, and other seemingly harmless objects? This allows users to hide substances in plain sight, making it difficult for parents to identify them if youth are using. Let's explore the different components of e-cigarettes. An e-cigarette is a battery-operated device that heats an e-liquid into an aerosol so that it can be inhaled. Although different brands may look different, they all function using the same 5 core parts: a battery, a microprocessor, an atomizer, cartridge, and a mouthpiece. The battery powers the device. Some products can be rechargeable and can even be plugged into computers to recharge. The microprocessor senses the user inhaling on the end and activates the atomizer. The atomizer, also known as the heater, and it heats the e-liquid inside of the cartridge until its contents are vaporized, allowing the user to inhale it through the mouthpiece. The cartridge, also known as the tank, stores the e-liquid and can be refillable, replaceable, or disposable. It's important to note that e-cigarettes have several different names such as vape, mod, pen, ENDS, which stands for Electronic Nicotine Delivery System, and Juul. Juul is a brand name for a popular e-cigarette product. By the end of 2018, Juul had 76% of the e-cigarette market, and it remains the most popular brand in the US. Because of its vast popularity, the new slang term "juuling" was adopted by youth and is a synonymous meaning to vaping, referencing that vape that appears like a cloud when users exhale. Both terms mean smoking from an e-cigarette, though. Since first introduced, e-cigarettes have evolved over time into different models that can be categorized into generations. E-cigarettes started out as cig-alike. They closely resembled a traditional combustible cigarette. Similarly to traditional cigarettes, they could only be used once and had to be disposed of once their e-liquid inside went out. Almost all cig-alike products deliver nicotine. The products became bigger and transitioned into the second generation of vape pens. With vape pens, users can recharge their device rather than throwing it out. This advancement was convenient for users and it quickly caught on. The third generation of products, called mods, are even larger than the last. They also can be rechargeable and have refillable cartridges. They are recognized for their modifiable parts, hence their name, mods. They've been built to produce the largest clouds for competitions and showing off tricks. And yes, there are international vaping competitions. With mods, users are able to inhale vapors at a faster rate than the previous two generations. The fourth generations of e-cigarettes are pod-based systems with a sleek design that somewhat resembles a USB drive. They are rechargeable and have a very high nicotine delivery level compared to other e-cigarettes. For example, Juul is a fourth generation product, which has a disposable and interchangeable pods that hold the e-liquid. As previously stated, Juul is a very popular brand and has spawned other copycat products. These fourth generation products are the most popular e-cigarettes. There is a fifth generation, and these e-cigarettes are a result of a recent flavor ban by the administration, explained on the next slide. In December of 2019, the FDA raised the age restriction to buy tobacco products. The new requirements included e-cigarettes, and since then, an individual must be 21 or older to purchase these products. However, even with this new age restriction, youth are still finding ways to get e-cigarettes. A study published in 2018 by Addictive Behaviors Reports reported that youth are still getting vape products from their friends, peers, and anyone else old enough to purchase tobacco products for them. At the beginning of 2020, the Trump administration established a limited flavor ban. This flavor ban meant that besides menthol and tobacco flavors, companies could no longer sell pre-filled pods. For example, the pods for Juul products are banned, but the e-liquids you can use in refillable e-cigarettes and the disposable products as well are still widely available. The reason for this ban on just pre-filled pods is because they're the highest used e-cigarette on the market for high school and middle school students. Although this ban is a step in the right direction for decreased use in youth vaping, companies are finding alternative ways to come back with disposable e-cigarettes, which are, as I said, widely available and in many different flavors. This has spawned the fifth generation of vape products. Unfortunately, the FDA has very minimal regulations on e-cigarettes currently. They don't require proof of how products are tested, and companies aren't required to list all the ingredients for their consumers. Their products don't have to be proven safe by the FDA, which is scary to think about. The FDA also doesn't limit chemicals put into them. Since there is very limited accountability from the FDA, e-cigarette manufacturers are able to be vague and even exclude information on the nutrition facts label when creating e-cigarettes. Because of this, often youth are unaware of what is even in these products and how that substance use could harm their body and brain. Our goal is to change this and teach you and your youth the true components in e-cigarette products that manufacturers like Juul may leave out. So here are some actual images of different e-cigarette products and generations. On the far right of the photo, you can see how some are cig-alike and are very similar to traditional combustible cigarettes. Some designs even light up on the end when the user inhales to make a real lit cigarette. And then some of these designs are vape pens. But please take special notice of the Juul product in the middle. Juul are rechargeable, refillable, and have disposable components. They often are mistaken for USB drives and can in fact be plugged into a laptop to charge. In the smaller attached picture, you can see some of the different colored mods categorized in the third generation of e-cigarettes. Remember that mods are the e-cigarettes that can be modified, meaning that a user can change how much e-liquid comes out in one puff. This can increase the rate of harmful ingredients being inhaled at one time. So this chart was built using the data from Utah's Student Health and Risk Prevention Survey. It's also known as SHARP, which is given to students in 6th, 8th, and 10th and 12th grades in Utah. This chart shows the data for the past 30-day e-cigarette use in the state, where the x-axis running horizontally shows grades and the y-axis running vertically shows the percentages of use. You can see an increased use of e-cigarettes as individuals get into high school. Each grade level has significant increases in e-cigarette use compared to the younger classes, almost like steps getting higher and higher. In 2019, 15.9% of 12th graders were reporting past 30-day e-cigarette use compared to 2.3% in 6th graders that same year. Not only are we seeing youth using e-cigarettes more as they get to higher grade levels, the younger youth are also increasing use each consecutive year. 5th graders went from 1.5% to 2.3% in only 4 years. Yellow represents the most recent year that we have data on, which is 2019, and is listed for each grade level. We can see how our most recent year is significantly higher than our data for 2015 reported use in blue. This shows that youth are being exposed to e-cigarettes at a younger age each consecutive year. E-cigarettes are the most commonly used tobacco product among high school and middle school students. These increases are threatening the progress made of decreasing the number of youth who use tobacco and led to the Surgeon General calling e-cigarette use by youth an epidemic. In December of 2020, the Utah Department of Health updated their website on the past 30-day use in grades 8th, 10th, and 12th by each county. This chart demonstrates the areas in Utah that have higher youth usage per county. The data shows that Southeast Utah has the highest usage rate, 21% youth, again in grades 8th, 10th, and 12th. The second highest is Weber-Morgan County at 18.4%. San Juan is the lowest usage rate in the state. However, there still is usage in that area. It's important to recognize the concern for youth using these products in your area to help understand the importance of prevention needed. All right, so e-liquid is often referred to as e-juice by youth and are components of e-cigarettes. The e-liquid is placed inside the cartridge of the e-cigarette product and is heated until it vaporizes and can be inhaled. Misconceptions or false beliefs towards e-liquid vapor are common in youth. Many don't realize there is a large quantity of harmful chemicals in e-juice contents. Let's start with formaldehyde. Formaldehyde, often contained in e-liquid, is also used in the preservation of dead bodies, for example, cadavers. Yes, you heard that right, dead bodies. So if you've ever taken a biology class where you had to dissect a frog, that strong chemical that frog sits in until it's placed on the mat is a mixture with formaldehyde. It has been reported to irritate the eyes, nose, and throat, and is considered a carcinogen, meaning it is able to cause cancer or is a cancer-causing agent. We also know that acetaldehyde is found in disinfectants, drugs, and perfumes. They irritate the respiratory tract, sometimes causing fluid-filled lungs, and can destroy lung tissue. Propylene glycol, found in antifreeze, yes, antifreeze, used in vehicles, but in vape products can cause lactic acidosis and seizures. Also, toluene, found in nail polish, glue, and paint fumes, where it can cause headaches and mental impairments. But wait, there's more. Additionally, a nitroxonornicotine used to preserve meats is found in tobacco products and is considered a group 1 carcinogen. Benzene, also used in rubbers, dyes, and detergents, can lead to leukemia and damage the ovaries in women. Heavy metals, such as nickel, lead, and cadmium, lead to damaged lungs, kidneys, and brains. These metals are carcinogens as well. Nicotine is also used in insecticides, plus many nicotine effects have been reported in other tobacco products like traditional cigarette smoking and/or cigars. These effects will be discussed further in a few slides. Diacetyl is a flavoring chemical. It can cause asthma, COPD, which stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and popcorn lung when inhaled. It is extremely dangerous to inhale into the lungs. E-liquid can and often is flavored. These flavors mask the bitter and harsh taste of nicotine and any other chemical, making the experience more enjoyable. There are over 8,000 different e-liquids for a user to choose from, and youth are easily attracted to these products. With flavors tasting like donuts, berries, Fruit Loops, apple juice, even ice cream. You name it, they most likely have it in an e-liquid form. With all these flavors to choose from, it's no wonder why 81% of users start using products that are flavored. While many youth believe that vaping is just a vapor like water with flavoring, there are many more harmful ingredients in these smoke clouds. In fact, what is considered a vapor by most is actually called an aerosol. Aerosols are defined as a system of colloidal particles dispersed in a gas and commonly formed as a smoke, fog, mist, haze, or smog. In short, e-cigarette aerosols are really thick sprays containing chemicals that are propelled through the lungs under pressure. They leave residues that contain particles that can be toxic in the respiratory tract. Think of hairspray out of a can. It sprays out at a high concentration and leaves a sticky residue behind. Meanwhile, water, when sprayed in a bottle, comes out in a mist and doesn't leave any feeling behind once it evaporates. Using the term vapor rather than aerosol gives the impression that e-cigarettes are not as harmful as they actually are. As discussed previously, when a user inhales from the device, the e-liquid is converted into an aerosol, which is what they are inhaling. So, in conclusion, is vaping just flavored water? No, it is an aerosol. It's not just vapor. Similarly to gambling, e-cigarette users are taking risks. Each puff they take puts chemicals into their system that may result in many negative consequences. When youth vape, they are gambling their health or rolling the dice to the side effects and possibilities that can occur. According to the National Youth Tobacco Survey, tobacco use is overall increasing, but traditional cigarette use is decreasing. This suggests that the rise in tobacco use in youth are due to non-traditional sources, such as e-cigarettes. In Utah Sharp survey, 70.9% of students statewide in 2019 reported that the first tobacco product they used were vape products. So, even though e-cigarettes were first marketed as a traditional tobacco cessation tool, the majority of youth are actually initiating use with vape products. Not only this, but youth who vape are more likely to start smoking later in life than non-users, meaning that the e-cigarette that supposedly was a tool to stop smoking is actually a starter kit for later traditional cigarette use. We will discuss the effects in more detail in the next slides by following nicotine, gateway substances, physical, mental, and social effects, and lastly, what vaping during COVID-19 does. And I warned you that wouldn't be the last time you hear about that virus. Nicotine is known for its habit-forming properties and is a component of most tobacco products. It was isolated from a plant known as Nicotina tabacum, which is a tobacco plant originally grown in America. Although some e-liquids are marketed as nicotine-free, it's been found that 99% of e-cigarette products contain nicotine, use and use patterns for future use, and an increased chance to become regular users. In fact, the younger the user, the greater chance they will become habitual users. Additionally, Juul has such high concentrations of nicotine and delivers it much faster than any other e-cigarette products that youth who use Juul have an even greater chance of continued daily use. The nicotine in a single Juul pod at 5% nicotine concentration is equal to the amount in an entire pack of 20 cigarettes and can be consumed much faster, within a few hours even. If youth use one whole Juul pod a day, they are smoking equal amounts of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes a day. To reinforce that idea of high nicotine concentration in e-cigarette products, here is a visual. Each of the orange outline cigarettes located at the bottom of the graph represents one whole cigarette. Puff bars are following Juul steps and have increased their nicotine concentrations. Now, both Juul and Puff bar have a 5% nicotine concentration, equal to 20 cigarettes, which is approximately 59 milligrams of nicotine. That's a lot. Inhaling much larger amounts of nicotine than traditional cigarette smokers can increase the chance of dependence and have various health effects. Often, you don't realize how much nicotine they're inhaling because it's hidden in flavored e-liquid, so they end up consuming much more. Additionally, e-cigarette nicotine has a faster delivery to the body and faster consumption by users, resulting in a greater chance of dependence in youth. A gateway substance is a substance that from use can initiate the start or dependence of other substances that are potentially more dangerous. We mentioned that e-cigarette use is associated with an initiation for other tobacco use. In fact, it was found that youth who vape were 6.8 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes within 18 months compared to non-e-cigarette users. In addition, e-cigarette use has been linked to increased substance use, binge drinking, and marijuana use. In other words, e-cigarette use can lead to an increased likelihood of using other substances, suggesting that vaping is a gateway substance. So studies have shown that vaping in youth increases the chance of lung illnesses such as asthma and bronchitis, and/or increases the severity of lung infections that are already present. So EVALI is an acronym for e-cigarette or vaping use associated lung injury, and these infections can be severe. A study analyzing 13 different hospitals saw that 55% of the patients admitted with e-cigarette injuries had to be put in the intensive care unit. While it's still being investigated as to all the ingredients contributing to lung-associated diseases, it's been deduced that vitamin E acetate is the main cause. Vitamin E acetate is used to thicken THC-containing products. While this chemical is strongly associated with EVALI, the CDC doesn't want to jump to any conclusions since other chemicals can be contributing to the impaired respiratory function as well. Another acronym, COPD, standing for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, represents a grouping of diseases to the lungs that cannot be reversed. COPD blocks the flow of air, causing moderate to severe breathing problems. Vaping increases the chance of developing COPD due to the toxic chemicals from e-liquids being inhaled straight to the lungs. Diacetyl, the flavoring chemical we talked about earlier, has shown patterns of causing what is known as popcorn lung. Like COPD, popcorn lung is irreversible and constricts the youth's lung, making it hard to breathe. 76% of vape prions tested have diacetyl in them, and it is very harmful to be inhaling. In addition to lung diseases impacting your youth's health, there is significant cardiovascular concern regarding youth vaping. High blood pressure and fast heart rate are strongly associated with vaping in youth. The extended long periods of stress and pressure on the heart cause unwanted and unhealthy heart conditions. Compared to non-users, daily vapers are 1.7 times more likely to suffer from a heart attack. The leading cause of death in the US is heart disease, and chronic respiratory disease is the third leading cause. It's important to take care of our lungs and heart, and one way is by not vaping so that we can prolong our quality of life. Other chemicals contained in the e-cigarette vapor also cause sores, rashes, and dry out the mouth, while other symptoms have been reported after vaping, such as nausea, general pain in the abdomen, and headaches. It is likely that other conditions and effects will be discovered in the future. So nicotine use can have serious consequences to youth cognition. Individuals younger than 25 are at an increased risk of brain development alterations. This is because brains don't finish developing until around their mid-20s. Nicotine is actually able to change the way brain synapses form. And synapses are connections built between brain cells when new skills or memories are created, and once interrupted, interfere with pleasure and reward properties in the brain. Youth and other individuals under 25 have a greater sensitivity to those reward properties compared to adults, and consequently are more prone to form stronger and faster dependencies. What's concerning about this is that tobacco products can be bought legally at 21 years old, which is still younger than when the brain is finished developing. Additionally, nicotine in the short term is responsible for some mood changes, impulse control, and anxiety, which some families wrongly mistake these signs and symptoms as normal teenage behavior, when in fact these changes were due to nicotine. In one study published by the Addictive Behaviors Journal, a former e-cigarette high school student said, "That was me. I saw a lot of that. I just dismissed it as like, oh, I'm just a teenager. That's how I'm supposed to act." Consequently, this attitude downplays the symptoms and effects of vaping on youth. Other long-term effects nicotine has on youth's brain impacts memory and attention, resulting in cognitive issues later in life. Social effects of youth vaping correspond with the behavioral effects from using nicotine. Because the users will experience mood swings, impulse control, and anxiety, they form tendencies to become withdrawn from class, peers, family, and other social events. The results are a loss of freedom. They have the sense of being obligated to vape rather than be present due to the strong withdrawal symptoms associated with nicotine use. They may also have decreased quality in academic work, resulting in poorer grades, paired with a sudden lack of interest in school and other activities such as athletic events. Additionally, a decrease in extracurricular performance may accompany the youth user who is disinterested in school, peers, and family. Overall, youth vaping contributes to a sense of disengagement. So in our current lives, we are continuously dealing with COVID-19. Again, the dreadful curse word of 2020. Several studies found an astonishing association between e-cigarette use and the respiratory infection. Use increases the risk of being diagnosed with COVID-19 up to 5 times. If a person is a dual user, meaning they use both e-cigarettes and traditional cigarettes, they are at an even higher risk of 7 times more likely to contract the disease. The focus age group for one study was 13 to 24-year-olds. This tells us that even youth are at an increased risk of getting COVID-19 if they are e-cigarette or cigarette users. The rationale behind these statistics is that e-cigarette users impair their respiratory system and immune system by inhaling chemicals constantly. A person with already damaged lungs and/or other immune impairments are more susceptible to getting COVID-19, since this infection is a respiratory tract disease. So risk factors are characteristics and other actions or situations that increase the likeliness of a particular outcome. In this case, risk factors for e-cigarette use increases the chance that an individual will vape. Meanwhile, protective factors do just the opposite. They decrease the likeliness of a particular outcome and generally are considered positive influences. So Utah's Department of Human Services of Substance Abuse and Mental Health describes the risk and protective factor model of prevention as a tested way of reducing the likeliness of substance use and potential consequences from said use. The department administers the SHARP survey, which is able to identify the risks that are causing problem behaviors or substance use and find protective factors to reduce those risks. When the protective factors outweigh the risk factors for youth vaping, the results will be a decrease of e-cigarettes in youth. We can use this data to recognize protective and risk factors and promote more protective factor opportunities and decrease potential risk factors. So this chart was taken from the results of the 2019 SHARP survey. Students in 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th grades statewide reported this information. This protective factor chart shows some of the highest factors statewide. In Utah, the 3 that are among the highest for preventing substance use is family attachment, prosocial involvement, and a belief in moral order. So youth who are valued members of their family and who feel engaged and supported are at a lower risk of initiating e-cigarette use. Some things to do to promote family attachment could be family movie nights, cooking together, building something or crafting together, family game nights. The list could go on. It's important to find something that everyone in the family wants to be a part of. The goal is to spend quality time with one another. The activity matters less as long as everyone can participate and enjoy their time together. There are many different ways to engage together as a family, so you could do something different each time. Go out and get involved in community activities together as a family, or go on a hike. The things you do together don't have to be big or flashy, and in fact can be free. In 2019, 93.2% of SHARP students statewide said that they felt attached to their families and chose not to use vape products in the past 30 days. Prosocial involvement is when youth have opportunities to be involved in their community, family, school, and/or friend activities. With involvement, they are less likely to initiate use of an e-cigarette. By participating in meaningful, important, positive, and fun programs and activities, they decrease the likeliness to engage in drug use and feel that they are a part of something. Additionally, if youth are being rewarded for participating in positive roles, such as being encouraged or praised when they need it and recognized for the hard work and contributions that they are putting forth, they're even more likely to bond with others also participating and have an overall pleasant experience. If each of these areas of opportunity, including community, family, school, and friends, have a reward for good, positive behaviors, then youth are less likely to initiate e-cigarette use. Ways to promote more prosocial involvement as a parent or guardian includes helping create opportunities to get your youth involved and noticing things that already exist that your youth may enjoy participating in. Things such as sports, activities, clubs, volunteer programs. These all would be opportunities for prosocial involvement. Also, rewarding your youth for the good, positive behaviors they have done. These can be outright encouragement and praise, or focusing on the good instead of the bad, and attending the activities your youth is participating in is a way to reward them in a less obvious way. Sharp found that statewide, 92.5% of students in 2019 reported having prosocial involvement, also said that they did not use vape products in the last 30 days. Youth are continuously developing skills and assessments of what they believe to be right and wrong. We call this having a belief in moral order. By having a strong moral order about the negative effects and consequences of e-cigarette use, youth will be at a decreased risk of using them. Everyone's moral order is going to be different from each other, but individuals who are surrounded by peers and friends who also have strong moral beliefs are even less likely to use e-cigarettes. Peers are major influences on youth, especially. They spend most of their days together at school and after school activities and sports. They hang out together outside of those hours, and then they follow each other on social media platforms. 94.5% of those students who have a sense of moral order statewide in the 2019 Sharp survey reported not having vaped in the last month. By implementing family attachment, providing opportunities for prosocial involvement, and by encouraging closeness with moral order, individuals, including family, friends, peers, and community members, the likeliness of youth vaping will significantly lower. These three protective factors will promote a healthier, happier lifestyle in your children with a decreased risk of substance use. So what can you do or be on the lookout for to recognize cigarette use in your youth? As already mentioned, youth vapers who are once calm and easygoing can be anxious and irritable. E-cigarettes can cause difficulty concentrating from possible nicotine withdrawal, which may lead to poor grades. Sudden interest in cheap candles, incense, perfume, or cologne, which can be used to hide the smell of their e-liquid. Changes in eating patterns resulting in weight fluctuation, either gain or loss, and unexplained mouth sores, mouth dryness, nosebleeds, or irritation around the mouth can all be signs of e-cigarette use. Additional things you can be on the lookout for is sweet smells coming from other rooms or behind doors, unrecognizable tech products including cords, chargers, and/or batteries, unexplained purchases, or constant headaches and nausea. Many youth don't even really use and decrease the likeliness that they will vape. But finding a way to start that conversation about this topic can be hard and even uncomfortable. That's why we hope we give you some tips to make it easier. Keep in mind you're looking to have a conversation with your youth, not deliver a lecture. Although it may seem it at times, parents play important roles and they have large influences on their youth. So first, be prepared by learning up-to-date information about e-cigarettes. You're already doing so by attending this webinar, so kudos to you. Learn as much as you can about vaping so you can give your youth educated responses. Other resources you can go to as well are healthcare providers, school counselors, and lots of different online resources. Don't hesitate to ask for support. Arguably, the most difficult part, step 2, bringing up the topic. You don't want to make your child feel like you're attacking them or accusing them of anything. Find a way to bring e-cigarette use up casually. Ways to do this is to bring up something you may have seen on the news or on a billboard. Bring up an event or story rather than saying we need to talk. This phrase only makes people feel like they're in trouble. Even as an adult, if someone tells me this, I instantly feel like I'm being accused of something. Like, what? Oh, okay, you got me. I ate the last piece of cake. The third step is to let them ask questions and be honest and direct with your answers. Let your child know how you feel about it, but keep in mind that they could already be using them. Letting them ask questions keeps the conversation safe and open. They will be more likely to be honest with you if you let them ask questions and converse about it. It can also be informing for both of you. You may learn something about your youth that you didn't know before and could help create a better bond between the two of you. Fourth, keep an open environment. We want to keep an environment where the topic can be discussed several times and where your child can reach out to you if they are using. This conversation may take place over time in bits and pieces. It won't be over with one conversation, so don't be afraid to remind them of what you talked about. And since this process requires some reminders and multiple conversations, the fifth step is to repeat the process. Other helpful things to keep in mind while having your conversation is to be direct with what your expectations are. Avoid using "it's bad for you" or "because I said," and try explaining why. Generally, immediate consequences are more effective for youth than long-term. Teach your youth how to respond to vaping peer pressure. If your youth are experimenting with e-cigarettes, express your disapproval, but make sure to do so lovingly. A reminder of the family rules may need to be restated, and make sure to have clear, small consequences in place. Too big may push them farther. If, despite the consequences and reminders, your youth are still using, find a way to help them. There are resources available to help youth quit. For more information about how to talk to your youth or local resources, check out our online fact sheet for parents on our website. So just talking about tobacco use with youth may not be enough to prevent them from using. To reduce youth tobacco initiation, conversation with them, and setting tobacco house rules. Rules should be established prohibiting all forms of tobacco use by all individuals in the home. These rules can also extend to vehicles and other family gathering spaces. Setting rules, establishing norms, and setting an example, reinforcing your earlier conversation with your youth. Again, rules should apply to everyone living or visiting the house. If a parent, relative, and/or guardian uses or used a tobacco product, they can talk about their struggles with dependence and trying to quit. If there is regret in every starting, that may be useful for youth to hear. Be honest and open with why they shouldn't choose to follow the same path. If the individual isn't planning on quitting, everyone in the household can work together to come up with house rules that everyone will follow. You should still strive to set rules for a tobacco-free home, meaning that if there is someone living in the home who uses a tobacco product, they still need to follow the rules and they will need to use the product outside of the home. Remember, these rules aren't just to try and prevent children from using tobacco products. The harms and effects of tobacco should also be reduced for children. So if another individual is using tobacco in the house, it can still have negative consequences on the youth living in the household from breathing in that secondary smoke. And yeah, this applies to vapes as well. When you sit down to talk with your youth, misconceptions or excuses or misunderstandings may be brought up. Being prepared with information can help facilitate this discussion with your youth. Here are 3 examples of what youth may say and what you could respond back with. Number 1, it's just water vapor. You can reply with all the information you gained today on the contents of e-liquid, helping them understand it's an aerosol. Studies have found harmful chemicals in e-liquids such as formaldehyde, which preserves dead bodies, nicotine, which is a habit-forming chemical, heavy metals, and other chemicals. Number 2, I just do it for fun. I can stop whenever. Well, 99.4% of e-liquids have nicotine in them. Nicotine is a chemical known for its habitual qualities. especially in individuals younger than 25. Then you can continue to tell them the age and brain development completes, which is 25. Number 3, effects from using. You can describe the different effects using physical, mental, and social categories. Numerous studies are actually finding effects from use, such as lung illnesses, increased heart rate, and mood swings. Feel free to use the information in this webinar to answer these untrue statements and to guide the conversation with your youth. This being said, it's okay not to know the answers. Take the time to research, reach out to others who know more, and gain support before following up with your youth. Our parting challenge for you is to set or plan a day to talk to your youth about e-cigarettes. You can put it on the calendar, save it on your phone, write it on a sticky note. Just make sure it goes somewhere that you won't forget about it. I really challenge and encourage you to do this, and attending this presentation was a great start. I hope you guys feel more equipped to have these conversations now. So we made it through, or more accurately, you made it through listening to me. I appreciate you letting me take the time to teach you about the basics of e-cigarettes and what you can do as parents and guardians. We hope that you learned many new things that were helpful to you. Here is Jordan and I's contact information. Please feel free to contact me or her if you have any further questions. Also, visit our website by using the QR code on the screen with your cell phone camera or by using the link. Our website has some more information and resources to contact someone in your local area. Search for your local health department resources online. We want to give a special thanks and our funding partner. This webinar wouldn't be available if it weren't for them. And here are our references. Again, this is all evidence-based information. We did all of our research, and we hope you guys learned something new. Thank you so much.